Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as always, we'll be talking about our weekly Torah portion. Today's Torah portion is Parsha Shoftim, Judges. Love this Parsha. This is the last words, the last couple of days of Moshe Rabbeinu life, where he presented us with all the social aspect of the Jewish life, with the mitzvahs that he deliberated on them, that was given before, or new mitzvahs, and among them, obviously, about the social order in a Jewish statehood, is the mitzvah of appointing a king. I want to completely, I hope exactly quote what it says in Torah about this mitzvah. It says, when you will come and inherit the land, and you will say, we want the king like all the nations around us. Moshe tells us that choose the king according to the God's choosings. It doesn't sound like a mitzvah. Yes, our sages say that there is a mitzvah on the 613 commandments to appoint the king, but it more, if you look in the exact text, it sounds like a prophecy of warning that you will want the king like everybody else. But the whole point of the Torah is to separate Jewish people from the rest of the world, to build a new society that later become implemented in the general culture as well, and rather criteria how to choose the king. And yes, this prophecy in the worst possible manner comes true, because later on in the book of Shmuel we read, when the Jewish people actually wanted the king, they came to the prophet Shmuel and they say, we exactly the same words that Moshe Rabbeinu predicted, we want the king like all the other nations. And Shmuel says, seriously, you want the king? He will take your daughters to his wives, he will take your boys to be his soldiers, he will take your lands to his property, you will become the slaves. This is the king that you want? And the Jewish people say, yes, this is what we want. And God responds to Shmuel and say, they didn't deprive from you, they step away from me, so give them the king. And the history of the Jewish kings, it's very, very gruesome. Besides few small parts in our history that the kings were actually the good kings, the rest is terrible. Just read the books on the Tanakh and Shmuel, Melachim Aleph, Melachim Bet. The story is terrible. But the question is, the book that presides the book of Shoftim ends up with the phrase that in those days there was no king among the Jewish people, and everybody did whatever he wants. That means it was anarchy. So this way is bad. To have a government, to have a king is bad, and to have not to have the government is bad. To have a king, it's totalitarian rulership. Not to have the king, it's to have an anarchy. However, Torah doesn't tell us to appoint the king. Torah tells us the criteria how to choose the king. Torah tells something that later become the inspiration of the French Revolution, of Age of Enlightenment. Torah tells us that you should be choosing the king in the right way. Or as 3,000 years later, Jean-Jacques Rousseau coined the term of the social contract, where we have the contract as a people with the other, with our governments. Because any government, it doesn't matter if it will be kingship, if it will be the democracy, social, whatever it is, this way or another, we give up towards the government some of our personal freedoms. Why do we give up this? Because we want the central system of the taxation, of the court system, military system, and so on. And this means to give up some of your freedoms. If you don't do so, if you don't create the governing system, then, as another philosopher of Age of Enlightenment says, the hope says that it will create the natural state of the society, meaning complete anarchy. And this is what Torah tells us. It will have to be very careful how you choose the king, because king will have a power, and as Machiavelli said, the power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is why Torah later on says that you have to limit the king's power. Not so many horses, not so many wives. Just remind the guy that he is serving the people and not people are serving you. But the mitzvah is for us to make a right decision, to make a right choice. Whatever governing system you decide, be very careful to choose. As Moshe Rabbeinu says, choose the one that God would choose. Thank you very much. Good luck. Shabbat Shalom.